everybody, it's Jamie from No Getting Off This Train, and in today's video I've got 4 easy, cheap, and delicious meals using a bag of dried black beans. Recently, my family and I have been adding more vegetarian meals to our menu. Now, not only is going vegetarian cheaper, it is also much higher in fiber. The typical daily recommended intake of fiber is anywhere between 25 to 45 grams. Typically, we should aim for the higher amount. And this is where black beans come in. 1 cup of cooked black beans has about 227 calories. It also has 15 grams of protein, which we all need, and also 15 grams of fiber. I mean, just think about it, getting almost half of your recommended intake of fiber in just one meal. That's crazy. So I wanted to see how many meals I could get out of a 2-pound bag of dried beans. Aldi happens to sell a huge 2-pound bag for $2.19. It's a little bit cheaper than buying like the cans of beans. And the cool thing is you can make these beans in the Instant Pot, no soaking required. And I will show you how I do it here in just a minute. So I use that bag of dried beans plus a few other cheap ingredients to make 4 different meals for you today. Any recipes that I have, I will have links down below where I can. So let's get into the recipes. Let me show you what I'm making. Now the first issue we come across is the black beans. This is a 2-pound bag. And when I make my black beans in the Instant Pot, I usually do it 1 pound at a time because that's what all the recipes tell me. I don't know if a 2-pound bag will work well in an Instant Pot. If you have cooked 2 pounds of dried beans at a time, please leave a comment and tell me whether it is safe or not. But it looks like I'm gonna have to divide this up into like 2 times. So I'll cook half of it today and then I'll cook the other half maybe tomorrow or the next day or something. But cooking beans in the Instant Pot is so easy. What I'm going to do is take 2 cups of this, which is about 1 pound of the dried beans, put it in my Instant Pot with 6 cups of water, and then I cook it, and then I let it naturally release for like 20 minutes. The whole process takes an hour, just around an hour, and there is no soaking required. So let me show you how easy it is. Now, when I make my black beans, I don't usually season them when I cook them in the Instant Pot. And the reasoning is because I'm using these in different recipes. So I don't want to season them with like just one type of seasoning if I'm going to be using it in a different type of recipe. So as an example for you, one time I made black beans like this and I put cumin in there, okay? So like Mexican seasonings. And then I froze them, right? I froze them in different like quart-sized freezer bags. And I forgot that I put cumin in them. So I decided to make black bean brownies with those beans that had cumin in it. Do you think they tasted good? No, they did not. So next with dried beans, in case you've never cooked with dried beans before, you need to rinse them and look through them to make sure there are no rocks. And we are looking pretty good here, so I just need to rinse them and then dunk them in the Instant Pot. The Instant Pot has become my new favorite way to cook these because it used to be that I would cook my black beans in the slow cooker. And when I did, I would have to soak them overnight first. So what, 6 to 8 hours? And then I have to cook them on high for another 6 hours. And even then, those beans were still not done at times, which was insane. But the Instant Pot, like I said, in about an hour, I have beans. So like I said, I didn't season any of this. Feel free to put salt, pepper. If you want to put an onion or something in here too, you can do that. These are just plain beans because I'm going to season them when I cook them in the other dishes. So here's what you do. You make sure that the knob is over on sealing. That's to make sure that the pressure stays all inside there. Got to plug it in first. Now, I'm going to put it on pressure cook, and I'm going to set these beans for 35 minutes. Now it's going to take 10-ish minutes for this thing to heat up, and then it's going to cook for 35 minutes. And then I'm going to do a natural release for 20 minutes. And that just means that when that 35 minutes is done, I'm going to let it sit here for an extra 20 minutes before I release the pressure on that knob there. So now I get to go and get some stuff done. We'll be right back. I got a little distracted. It has been 43 minutes and not 20. As you can see, maybe the little knob right here is already down, so all the pressure has been released, but I like to use a spoon anyway to turn the knob just in case. So let's check this out. And these beans are perfectly cooked. I can feel them. They're nice and soft and perfect. So like I said before, I'm not sure whether you can do 2 pounds in here, but for now, the 1 pound that I have is good. So now I'm gonna let these cool. We're gonna put them in a container, stick them in the fridge, and we'll be able to use them for dinner. This first recipe is Cuban black beans, and it's a recipe that one of you had kindly sent me through the mail, which I greatly appreciate. I did actually get rid of some of the ingredients just based on what I already had at home. I started off by putting some olive oil in a large pan and chopping up an onion and then a bell pepper and then eventually some tomatoes and then carrots, and then added them to the pan just to let them cook for a few minutes. Now you're going to see me chopping up baby carrots. For whatever reason, I just dislike the regular carrots because I have to peel them and then I have to slice them. It just takes a lot longer. So what I found is that buying baby carrots is a whole lot easier because you don't have to peel them. They're a lot smaller, easier to handle, and I'm only paying like maybe a couple cents extra. I'm also realizing that keeping onions on hand was the best idea ever. I was never really a fan of onions until I started cooking them in meals and realizing how delicious they were. Is anybody else with me on this? Like, if I don't have onions in my house at all times, like, we have a problem. But anyway, I had to let the vegetables cook for probably about 5 minutes or so. And then I chopped up the tomato and was getting ready to add that after the garlic. The garlic needed to cook for probably a couple of minutes or so. Then I added a bunch of seasonings. So there was like paprika, salt, pepper, probably some cumin in there too. Then I added the tomatoes and some tomato juice. I started off with a little over a half cup and then kept it out just in case I needed to add more. I let that simmer for a little bit. Now I already had the black beans, as you saw I cooked them earlier, so all I had to do was add them in. I added 2 cups worth in there, which is probably about 1 can if you're just buying cans. What I noticed was that it was absorbing the liquid very, very quickly. So I had to keep adding more and more tomato juice. It was probably a good 2-ish cups, maybe 2.5 cups altogether. After letting this cook for 10 or 15 minutes, it was completely done. I also made some rice in the rice cooker. My rice cooker is amazing. I just put rice in there and about an hour later, it is ready, which is awesome. So in a bowl, I just put in the rice and the bean mixture. You could top it with your favorite cheese, with avocado, sour cream, whatever. I put on some leftover queso fresco that we had in the fridge. This stuff was really good. We're a huge fan of Mexican food anyway. You're gonna see a lot of it here soon. The next recipe is bean and corn quesadillas. Once again, I'm adding olive oil to a pan and I am chopping up an onion to put in there. Like I said, onions, they are one of my new favorite staples now. As you can see, I have a huge Mexican theme going on. I can't think of black beans without Mexican. My cutting board is green, by the way, because I chopped up some zucchini right beforehand. I'm sorry that I had to mention this, but apparently I have to. I also added about a cup of frozen corn. You could also add a can in there if you wanted to, but I already had some of that in the freezer. After a few minutes, I added 2 cups of black beans and maybe a 1/4 cup of salsa or so, just to give it a little bit of moisture. And then a bunch of seasonings, chili powder, cumin, salt, pepper. And again, all I had to do is let that cook for about 5-ish minutes. I'm really just heating up the ingredients. As for the quesadilla, I took a large flour tortilla. I put about a 1/2 cup of the mixture on the bottom of 1/2, and then I added about a 1/4 cup of cheese. Now, if you had smaller tortillas, you could use 2 of them and put one on top of the other, but mine were pretty big. I sprayed a pan with cooking spray and put the quesadilla on top, and then I sprayed the top of it with more cooking spray. I found that that's really helpful for me. So after a couple minutes, I flipped it over. It was nice and brown. Alternatively, you can also use a George Foreman grill. I didn't feel like getting it out today though. But after like maybe 5 minutes, it was completely done. I cut it in half. You could serve it with some sour cream, salsa, guacamole, whatever your favorite dip is. I also roasted some zucchini to go on the side. This is actually good for breakfast too, by the way. I made this for breakfast one day this week too, and it was really, really good. The next recipe, it was something different. It was a black bean curry. And can you guess the first steps? Yes, olive oil, and then an onion, and then also some more carrots. Now, I had never heard of black bean curry before, so I looked up a couple of recipes, and it is kind of like a Mexican-ish curry because it still uses like the cumin, but it also has curry powder, so I was pretty interested in seeing how this turned out. I'm pretty used to like the standard Asian chicken, red curry, and things like that, but I love anything curry, so I was willing to give it a try. Again, the baby carrots are coming in to save my life here. It makes things so much easier. And by the way, if you were to like cut or chop up these vegetables maybe a day or so beforehand, like on a Sunday afternoon, chopping up all the vegetables and putting them all in a container, that would save you a whole lot of time when it comes to making dinner. I should probably start doing that and see how it helps me. But anyway, I took 1 bell pepper as well, added it to the pot, and let that cook for about 5-ish minutes until they got kind of soft. Next up, a few of the spices. I put in the curry powder, and then there was some, I think, cumin, paprika, chili powder, salt, pepper, that sort of thing. Then I added a can of diced tomatoes and let that cook for a couple of minutes. Next up were the black beans. I added, again, 2 more cups of it. I didn't know how many black beans I would have left over, so that's why I'm only putting 2 cups in each recipe. Then I added a can of coconut milk, and that's basically it. I let it stir, or I stirred it, and I let it simmer for 20-ish minutes or so until it was nice and hot and bubbly, and a little thicker too. But it smelled delicious. I love the smell of curry powder. Now, I forgot to make rice, so I got out one of those little microwavable packages of rice and quinoa I had in the cupboard, which saved my life as well. This stuff, I was actually surprised. It was really good. Like that Mexican and curry flavor together, it was excellent. And my last recipe is chili. Can you guess what the first step is? You are correct! It is olive oil, and it is onions cooking together. And carrots, what do you know? Now, as you can see, I'm using a lot of the same ingredients, and they are cheap ingredients too. You can buy onions cheap, you can buy carrots for really cheap, the black beans, even like rice and the tomatoes. You can do many different recipes and other things with the same amount or the same kind of ingredients. So I added a can of diced chilies and then a 3/4 cup of dried quinoa. I rinsed that as well. And then 2 cans of diced tomatoes. I also added about a cup of frozen corn. Again, as you can see, all the same ingredients. Then I added 4 cups of black beans. Now at the end, you're going to see I had almost a full container of black beans left. So I actually froze them in 2 cups each in a quart-sized freezer bag to use for a later dinner. I added a little bit of water for the quinoa and a ton of chili powder, oregano, some cumin, salt and pepper, and 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. And from there, it's just letting it boil and then simmer for 20-ish minutes. I found that I had to keep stirring this every few minutes because the quinoa was sticking to the bottom of the pot. But as you can see, after about 20-ish minutes, it's nice and thick. The quinoa really absorbs a lot of the liquid. The best thing about quinoa too is that it is a complete protein, which means it has all of the proteins that our body needs instead of having to combine rice and beans together. So it's good for you as well. But this was really good. We served it with tortilla chips, but you could have cheese on it, sour cream, any of your favorite toppings. This stuff served 6 and it was so, so good. Leave me a comment and tell me, what are some of your favorite things to make with black beans? Black beans are starting to become some of my favorite vegetarian proteins, and I'm looking for more ways to use them, so give us your ideas. If you have not subscribed yet to this channel, go ahead and do so right now, and like this video and ring that bell, and that way you'll be notified when more videos like this come out, as well as my other grocery hauls, recipes, and meal planning tips. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you later. Did you know I offer one-on-one nutrition coaching? Whether your goal is to lose weight, eat healthier, or just want to know how to get started, I can help. You can schedule a free weight loss discovery call by using the link in the description. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to chat with you.